everyone, this is 102 back again with yet another review. And this is a review that you probably all saw coming because I mentioned it twice already in 2 other videos. And with the characters that are in the background, you can probably already know who it is. Today, we are completing the quadruplet and looking at the 80th anniversary Classic Gordon. So, to make this a long story short, my Walmart, which was full of shipping delays and stuff, finally got their act together and got the new stuff. It took about like 2 to 3 months, but it was worth it. Was it worth it? Yeah, definitely. But I got Gordon and an extra James for a certain custom. But yeah, we're gonna set James aside as this video is focused on Gordon because we've already looked at James in a previous video. So anyway, let's take a quick look at his box. You got official price logo, Thomas and Friends, 80th anniversary logo, Classic Gordon, Gordon Classic. And here we got Thomas, and on this one, the wheels are layered inside of the white. Here's the top. We got nitrogen promo of Gordon and Thomas and Friends 80th. Then this side, it's also a nitrogen promo. And the back is absolutely nothing. And then the bottom, we have Thomas climbing that nice barcode. And the production date is 129th day of 2025. And if you remember on these guys had a production day of 102nd day of 2025. So this Gordon and this James here says 130th day of 2025. These two here were from a later batch. But anyway, with that out of the way, let's get Gordon out of his box. Alright, coming in for the unboxing. So we'll take a scissor snip here. And we'll take a scissor snip here. And that's it for the scissors. We shall lift this flap, slide Gordon out. Like so. We can toss this aside. I am not going to spend too much time on this because we already know what disaster it has. So we're going to toss it aside. And, oh wait, I forgot. We're not done with the scissors because there is a piece of tape right here holding him in. There we go. Now we're done with the scissors. And now we can just, oh, there's another piece of tape. Okay. Compared to the others that had 1 piece of tape. Sorry for the jump cut there. The scissors knocked the camera over. Anyway, continuing with the unboxing. Wow, this is nice. The whole top is intact this time. Oh no, with the top intact. Okay. Here's Mr. Gordon. Oh my gosh. We'll save the reactions in a moment. Here's his tender with some very, very interesting centered printing. I'll get that. And no, don't fall again. Toss that. And the express coach. So yeah. Alright, so here is Gordon out of the box. So let's start by taking a look at his front. Now, looking at this in person, it's so much nicer than through a camera, right? Like when I saw this in the store, right? His body looked so much better. Like, okay, like, so if you cut off this front bit from the camera, right? This looks so good. It literally looks like Gordon, right? And then you get to this tiny front and you're like, oh. But the whole reason his front is short and stubby like that if we grab Scotsman here, you'll notice not only do they end up using the exact same cab piece, but they are also the exact same length. So why is Gordon's front so short and stubby? It's because his smoke box has been extended out further to accommodate this blue piece of plastic right here. So that is why his front running board is so short and stubby. And what is that? What was that? That was a weird mark on Gordon's face. I thought it was like a printing error, but no, it's just a weird... What the... What? Huh? Is Gordon's eyebrow rubbing off onto my finger? Is his eye printing rubbing? What? Look at that. You can see that, right? There's a black mark right there on my finger just from rubbing that. Is the printing? Huh? I'm confused. What? I'm lost. Okay, anyway. That weird thing aside, I think how? I am confused now. Printing weirdness aside, here's his face. When the Toy Fair images dropped, the low quality ones, we all thought he was gonna have like an Odeon dignity face when his eyes, because his eyes were like looking up like that. But no, he's got more of like a pondering smile, kind of like he's thinking, not in a scheming way, but he's sort of just pondering up there. I don't know what you'd call this face. It's not like, I really don't know what to call this face. It's not like a grumpy face. Or like a full-on happy face. It's like a pondering, it's like a sort of thinking up to the sky in like happy thoughts or something like that. That's the best way I can put it. But yeah, here's the other side. We got that nice extra piston there. Oh yeah, and then he has also got little red stripes on his blue piston. Yeah, and then here's the back, which looks literally identical to Scotsman. But yeah, putting him next to Scotsman, you can literally see just how similar these two are. And honestly, I'm probably gonna be one of the first few people to say this. I honestly don't mind how fat this Gordon is. I mean, he is pretty fat in the show, to be fair. But yeah, that was the front of Gordon, and also he's got a weird little red stripe printing error there. And yeah, now let's compare him with some other Gordons. Alright, so for the first comparison, here is Gordon next to the original Trackmaster 2 Gordon. And honestly, there are things I like about this Gordon and things I like about this Gordon. For one, I love how this Gordon has a nicer firebox shape. Like, look at that. It's so good compared to whatever that is, where it's just like a weird step out and it just collides with the wheel arch. Well, this one, it looks more accurate in how the wheel arch is separated from it. Two, I honestly don't mind how fat this one is. Like, this one looks a little off looking at it now. Like, this one doesn't have the yellow lines. This one obviously has the yellow lines and the indent around it. But yeah, and then the big obvious is that this one has a nicer footplate. And that's the thing I like about this one. That has a much nicer and longer footplate compared to this one, where it's just short and stubby and doesn't even look anything like a footplate. And yeah, I don't know. I kind of like the face on this one more compared to this one. The face on this one screams Gordon a bit more than this one, because it's more like, I'm fastest and best and I pull the express. This is more like him just pondering up into the sky of thoughts, like, it's a beautiful day outside, even though the day this is being filmed, it is very cloudy and thundery. But yeah, this one, here's the sides. I don't know, Gordon is the least interesting of the four, right? And he's the one I don't really have much thoughts to say. Oh my gosh, I just noticed this. This one here, right, has the handrail go out to the smoke box. This one just cuts off right here and doesn't even go onto the smoke box. That's interesting. But yeah, that was the comparison with the Trackmaster Revolution Gordon. And now we're going to compare Gordon with the Motorized Talking Gordon. So the main reason I'm doing this one is so I can compare the rivet placements. And this one here seems to have some more rivets on it. There seems to be rivets along the boiler here, going across like that. Well, this one doesn't even have rivets going along the boiler. That's interesting, because James here does have rivets going along his boiler, but Gordon doesn't. Although he does have the rivets that go along his cab, like he has the ones here, he has those and those. He has all of those. The fact they actually managed to squeeze the rivets in between the window spaces, that's insane. But yeah, that's the only rivets Gordon has on his front, are the ones on his cab. He doesn't even have any going across his boiler, which is interesting. But yeah, as for general comparison, this Gordon wins by a landslide. Because this cab is way too long. Yeah. But yeah, that was Gordon next to the 2021 Talking Gordon. And now for the last comparison, we are going to put two engines next to him at the same time. The first being Henry, since I don't have a normal all engines go Gordon, and the talking all engines go Gordon. So first of all, the new Gordon is taller than the all engines go Henry. The boiler goes up a little higher, probably because of the whole sloping thing. But when you compare these two, right? The wheels on this, the wheel arches, right? The running board doesn't dip up as much, so it's not like a huge dip. But this one, we got like the huge jagged thing, and so the wheels are more exposed. And it does kind of look a little weird, but I've gotten used to it. Oh yeah, and then also the chassis block is gray, like all the others. Oh, that is interesting. You can see the side rod piece. I think you can see it like that on... Yeah, you can see it on Scotsman as well. But yeah, oh yeah, here's another example. Like, look at how short Henry's cab, smoke box, why did I say cab? Smoke box is. I'm pretty sure these are the same length too. Yeah, they're the same length. Yet they both seem to have the very, very short foot plate. The very short front to their footplate, which is interesting considering that Henry Smokebox is 1,000 meters shorter than Mr. Fatface over here. That's interesting. I mean, it does dip down a little bit more than this. Like, it dips out more forward. This one just, it's a tiny dip. I feel like, seriously, I tested this off screen. Thomas here. Thomas is the only one who drags with his front, with how low it is. He's the only one who drags on like hills. I tested Scotsman and James, and neither of their fronts drag on hills, right? But Thomas's does. Thomas's drags on hills. This thing doesn't drag. So I feel like they could have maybe extended it a bit. And that would have fixed everything. And judging how Thomas's drags, considering how short he is in length compared to Gordon, that's something. So I feel like they probably wouldn't have had a problem with extending Gordon's front just a tiny bit. But yeah, comparing him to this Gordon here, there's not really much to compare to since it is drastically different compared to this one, seeing as how the cab is ginormous. Now it looks more like Origins Go Edward. But yeah, again with the very short front slope. But yeah, that was the comparisons for this Gordon. And now we're gonna pop some batteries in him. Alright, so I've got my trusty blue screwdriver here. We're gonna unscrew Gordon. We're gonna see what his inside looked like. Oh my gosh, this inside is just as weird as Scotsman. Look at how huge that is. Also, it seems that there is a screw down there. And that could possibly unscrew his face. So that is good to know. But anyway, we're gonna take the chassis here. I'm gonna give him some nice batteries. See if he goes. He's a goer. I'm gonna put the chassis back on. Screw him back together. And away he goes. So now that we looked at the front of Gordon, let's take a look at his tender. So here is his tender, and it is the exact same mold as James's tender, with the only difference being that it is blue now instead of red. So he has the same removable coal, and it's just complete blue on the inside. And the thing about my Gordon's tender is that the printing is not perfectly centered, as you can see. And then on this side, it's more to the middle, but it's raised up very high. When you compare to James, I mean, it kind of lines up a little bit. It's just, there's a giant blue gap down there. And it looks a little off, but yeah. Here's the back. I will say the black undercarriage does look a little weird on Gordon, as I'm so used to seeing him with like the red one. But yeah, you got the buffers on the front because this uses the same chassis piece as all the other things. But yeah, I don't really have much thoughts on his tender, except it's got the big four and then the rivets and the handrails. And now we're gonna compare it to the Talking Gordon tender. And just like James, these are not the exact same mold as each other, as this one has a little plastic indent around there, compared to this new one, which is a solid one layer of plastic. And then And then if we look on the inside, they removed the extra piece of coal in here. Yeah, I don't know why, but yeah, you can't fit this piece of coal into the old tender, but you can fit this one, and it is very, very loose and wobbly. And then this one is one-sided. But yeah, that is Gordon's tender. Actually, wait, hold on. One more thing I forgot to do. I forgot to compare the rivet placements. So, unlike James's tender, which had a few differences in where the rivets were placed, this one seems to be exactly the same in terms of the way they're placed, and like, they're both going up and down. But this one has a few more rivets, as it like has 2 rows of rivets going up and down. But this one has only 1 row of rivets, but there's a few more in that row. But yeah, this one has a bit more rivets. And also an extremely large number 4. I feel like the 4 is a bit better sized here. This is way too comically large. But yeah, that was the rivet placement comparison. And now we're done with Gordon's tender. Before we move on to the express coach, I just want to say, putting Gordon together and just ignoring his very short front, if you ignore that, he looks so good. Mattel is trying. Even though it's not perfect, because nothing is perfect, I can confidently say Mattel is trying. Like, this is something. But yeah, now let's move on to the express coach. So, here is Gordon's express coach. And honestly, if you know the first thoughts of this is basically just an all engines go coach, but designed to look like the express coach, as they basically just used the top piece from the Annie and Clarabelle that came with the first version of the Talking Thomas. This is such a weird thing, considering considering both Annie and Clarabelle and the mail car have a new undercarriage to them and are raised up higher. This one, they decided to take an approach and give it the old undercarriage from like 2020, and then make it super tall, and then give it the all engines go roof. Like, I'm not mad. I'm glad we got a new express coach, but this is like the weirdest thing this line has done. And then they also gave it the gear wheels, and it also has the star coupling, just so it doesn't get caught on like corners and stuff. But I feel like I would have preferred this if it was done in the new coach style, like the way the new Annie and Clarabelle are done in the mail van. Cause then it'd be raised up higher, and it wouldn't look so janky and tall. Cause it literally looks, I don't want to say it's bad. It just looks a little weird, especially with these giant windows. Like, that is weird. And then you can sort of see the inside there. It's just bare nothingness. There's like a green base piece you can see in there. But yeah, it's interesting. And we're not going to compare it to a play rail coach, as the only coach I have is a Shooting Star Gordon Express coach. But we are going to compare it to the last time Mattel made an express coach, and that is the one that came with the 2020 Talking Gordon. 2021 Talking Gordon. And before we even compare these, what's funny is that both of these coaches are just repurposes of like an Annie and Clarabelle mold. This one being the 2020 Annie and Clarabelle. And this one being a rehash of the All Engines Go Annie and Clarabelle. So yeah, they're kind of similar in that regard. But yeah, they've actually got a very similar livery where they've got like a silver roof and then the cream. I don't know what looks better. This one looks better. What's it? I don't even have words. I don't know what I'm saying at this point. But this one looks better as like, it looks like an express coach, design-wise. This one just looks like a passenger coach. This one looks like the old branch line coach from like season 1. Like, you couple them up together. It does look a little weird knowing how they're difference in height. Like, it's so weird. This coach, knowing how tall it is, it makes it look like it's shorter in length compared to this. Considering how low it is, it makes it look like it's longer, even though both of these are exactly the same length. It's weird. Honestly, if they just gave this coach the new chassis block, it would look a bit better, in my opinion. But honestly, coupling these up, they honestly don't look too bad, especially considering when you just noticed this. I just noticed this. The cream color actually lines up between the two coaches. So it's not that bad when you put both of these next to each other. They actually don't look too bad. Let me couple this whole train up to Gordon, actually, and just see how he looks pulling this. Honestly, this doesn't look too bad. This, when you got two coaches here and like different scaling. But yeah, it doesn't look too bad. But yeah, that was the Express Coach. So, what are my final thoughts on the 2025 Classic Gordon? It's interesting, to say the least. Interesting in a good way, not in a bad way. Like, he definitely does have problems, like this front dip being too short and this weird express coach. But other than that, he's honestly a lot better than I thought he would be. I don't know what exactly I would rank him. He's definitely still the... I don't even know if I want to rate him as the lowest of the low bunch anymore. Like I said in like the review of the other three. I'd say he's about equal to James. Now that I think about it, he's about equal to James in levels of how good he is. My opinion might change later, but who knows? That's where he's at right now. He's the same equality as James in terms of level of goodness. But yeah, with that out of the way, I think it's finally time we give Mr. Fat Face Gordon himself a run around the track along with these other three. And that was the running session of the new 2025 80th anniversary Motorized Classic Gordon. So yeah, that marks the end of this video. And just like Thomas, James, and Scotsman, I will end up using this Gordon in my series. Not in the movie, but it will appear in stuff after that. The Express Coach, however, will not make an appearance in the movie as it is way too tall and overscaled for the original range. So this will be like the only piece of rolling stock that might not make a sneak peek in the movie. But other than that, in the last shot, you may have noticed a sneak peek at another custom I've been working on. Unlike the other one though, there is no estimated video release date for that one, as I still have a few little things I need to touch up on it, and I need to find another part for it. But anyway, this is HunterTube saying thanks for watching, bye for now, and I will see you in the next video.